Good morning and welcome to Equity Story Wednesday. Trade Watch is upon us, so let's talk through some stories and stocks and what's actually been happening. Before I do that, it's a quick disclaimer. Of course, everything I talk about on today is purely based on technicals that we see on our charts and fundamentals of the companies and, of course, macroeconomic conditions. So what's been happening overnight? And we see that we've had a bit of a rebound, and we've got the Nasdaq pretty up strongly. We've got the Dow Jones recovering. That was quite nice. And from that point of view, it is, maybe we're going to see a little bit of a rebound towards the rest of the week on our markets, because we had a pretty poor couple of days in a row. However, that's affecting, I suppose, the commodity space. We've seen a pretty poor start this week, and that seems to be continuing. On the back of two things are happening. We've got the oil prices, which are heading lower, and that's to do with what we've seen, potentially talks resuming with Iran and the nuclear situation over there. And of course, if some sanctions are lifted and oil is going to come out of Iran, then potentially we've got a bit of a weakening in the oil prices. That's good news because that's caused a lot of angst and issues, of course, globally, and it's also fueled inflation. So from that point of view, it's good, but it's not good from a point of view of the trades that we've been playing, because of course we've been reliant on stronger commodity prices last week, and that potentially could be a winding towards the end of the week. So we'll see how it all sort of transpires. I know it's been fairly up and down. Unfortunately, this week has been pretty much down for the commodities, so that's not a great thing. And if you can see at the moment, I'm looking at the oil and gas prices, and they've been hammered this week. So this week, some of these things are down 22%. That's crude oil, Brent down 22. We've got, let me see, uranium is the good one, is up 12% still, but it's down 4.2% today. We got coal down 10% for the week, and we've got gas also pretty weakish. So all in all, volatile times, volatile week. So, you've got to be on top of your trades, of course, having your stops in place. And if things are looking pretty dicey, I'd say, of course, you want to be as patient as you can, but if they look pretty dicey, you probably need to take a profit or cut your losses if that's really gone against you. But like I said, middle of the week, it's always difficult to gauge where things are going. I'm normally the patient one where I wanted to see at least Thursday and Friday before I make any moves. But if you look at the bigger picture, like I said, with what's happening in China, especially because that's really another big point that's reared its head this week, and it's probably almost trumping what's happening in Ukraine and Russia. And that is the COVID situation in China, where a big spike in COVID has meant that the Chinese government has locked down millions and millions of people, which is probably going to be detrimental to the growth in China. And of course, it's probably going to mean that we're going to be more volatility to come. Whether it's temporary, whether it's going to be longer lasting, we don't know as yet, but market is skittish. So anything like that, it's probably going to see some sort of movements from certain sectors. All right, so what else have we seen in the commodity space? Because of course, remember, we've been trading these things. So we've got gold further down, another almost 2% to 1917. Remember, for me, the key support, I think, is $1,900. So that's getting very, very close. I know we're middle of the week, so I've still got hope that might bounce from that, but we'll see. So I still would not be panicking, but it's getting close. Let's see how it sort of goes for the next couple of days. Iron ore, another big hammering last night, down to 139. Still elevated levels, of course, but not as high as it was, just a little bit less than a week ago. It was over $150. Platinum's down 14% for the week. That is the biggest loser for the week in the precious metals. Down, if we go down to some of the normal, I suppose, or the key commodities, which is the tins, the coppers and zincs and so on. Let's have a look what's happening here. We've got leads down 2%, 8% for the week. So of course, that's why we've seen volatility in there. And, that's probably going to rub off on the Rios, the BHPs, the S32s, and so on. So, like I said, let's actually have a look at a couple of these charts. So, it's not great on the commodities, middle of the week. Again, patience. Let's have a look. China maybe is now trumping what's happening in Ukraine, Russia. So, we're very, very careful to see what we do with our trades here. So let's actually have a look. And I'm going to change screens right now and go to the actual charting. And here we go. We've got, I'm going to put in, that's BHP to start off with, to see what's going on here. And remember, some of the keys for me for the commodity players, they were still holding it yesterday, and they are still holding it today, which is decent. So I'm liking from that point of view that it hasn't broken any supporters yet. BHP, I think under 44, you'd probably be getting out on that. Let's have a look at S32, another one of our favorites. And that is looking, yeah, still very good. Still holding, I think 450 would probably be my key as if I'm a trader to possibly say I might have to come back another time. But, you know, let's just monitor it. It's still holding on okay-ish. It had a huge spike, remember, to 540. So naturally, it's probably going to have some profit taking and come down with the commodity volatility this week. So I'm still okay with that overall. So all good. Let's have a look at some other ones. Maybe let's have a look at Rio as well at the same time, and maybe FMG just to see exactly how things are going. And I suspect they're pretty all similar. So again, Rio just holding on, middle of the week, so just not too worried yet. And FMG is another one of the big ones that has obviously probably taken a hit as well over the last few days. And that's probably more worrisome for me. That's really dropping below the last line of defense here. So that's probably going to be a cut if it stays like this by the end of the week. All right, what else have we seen today? So look, yesterday we had a couple of announcements after my video. So I'll talk through some of the stocks from yesterday, and then we'll go through some of the actual announcements from today. And we start with HSN, which had a big contract win in the US. So that's positive. I like the story overall. I think it's a decent story for the long term. Longer term charts looks very, very good actually. So I don't mind that. You know, it's had maybe a couple of years sidewards, but last year, previous year, it's had a bit of a move. It's starting to work itself back up again. I'm not interested as yet on this technically. I just need to see it over 530 before really I take a notice. But that announcement is definitely pretty positive. And maybe with time, when the market settle down, we're going to see a little bit more positivity with the story, and probably some other stories as well that have been oversold. But for the moment, the market doesn't want to know some of these tech space stories. Next one, UWL. There was a big spike yesterday in share price. I know I had a couple of questions regarding that. Rumors are flying around there was a takeover. They've went into a trading hold. It has come back last night, confirmed that they're in talks with another group for a takeover. I think it was 450. I think that obviously the bid has been opportunistic. They did it when it was actually down here instead of maybe 3 months ago it was here. So fairly opportunistic for me. I don't think it's made. Look, whenever there's a takeover, it's always going to be a difficult sell for any company trying to take it over, especially when it looks like they're trying to be a cheeky bids on the cheap. So there's probably going to be a negotiation. It's not binding anything as yet. It's just they're in talks. So anyone who's in, I suppose, you've got a choice to make. What do you do? Technically now it looks like it's above the trend, so you probably hold. But then again, what happens if there is no deal to be made? Does it come back to that $3.20? Possibly. If there is a deal at 450, then maybe it will spike further up. So it's a lot like caught in the middle of no man's land, and you've got to decide what you want to do with this one. To be honest, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where this is going to go. I'm not sure whether that's actually going to bid's going to go through. Like I said, for me, because it's an opportunity to bid, it seems like maybe the company itself, UWL, maybe want to extract a little bit more out of it. But we'll see. So for me, it's a high risk trade from here. Today, I had really one good announcement today from OFX. That was really that caught my eye today. I'm not going to put it as a trade, but if anyone's still in this, definitely still a hold, because the update was very strong. So they're still, as you can see, probably about 6 months ago, they've come up with a pretty positive announcement, and they've keep going ever since from there. So the business has definitely turned his fortunes around. It's going on an upward trend. It's hit probably about 5-year highs not too long ago, which is positive. So for me, it's still definitely something to look for. And if they're still on a positive tailwinds behind them, I think they can go higher. This market is obviously not easy to see your stock go higher. It doesn't matter if you're going to come up with positive announcements or not, but at least this one is above trend lines. It's had a good announcement today with a pretty strong outlook as well. So I'm expecting at the very least to hold that $2, right there. Hopefully the $2.10, which is the aggressive trend line, and maybe can go on with it in the next 3 to 6 months. But I'm not going to put it on as a trade. Just need to see a little bit more, maybe the end of the week, and we'll reassess there. But it does look pretty good. So from that point, well done to them. ALC is another one that we really like, but at the moment we're out due to the fact that, of course, the market doesn't like the tech stocks at the moment. But a nice agreement in the UK for a contract. But you can see, when you look at a chart like this, you're telling yourself, no, not at the moment. We've got to wait till it starts turning around, and the time will come. Of course, I don't know when, but the time will come where we're going to have to pick up some of these stories at a very, very good price. So, like I said to you a little bit earlier during the week, I'm formulating a list, a watch list, many watch lists actually, and we'll start looking at these stocks when the time comes. So that's good announcement, but if you're a trader, you're definitely not in this. If you have been in this for a long term, and if you're still in this long term, you probably should have sold out if you're in this long term anyway. But if you're still in this, nice announcement, but it haven't helped you with the actual share price at this stage. So it's a hard road ahead if you're still in this. And I said, for myself, I probably would not be in this right now, technically or fundamentally. I just want to see a little bit more the market turn positive for that. Last one, FMG. I know, as we know, we have had a lot of questions regarding FMG. Where is it going from here? It's cheap. Should you be buying it? The answer is no. I think a desperate move today, looking at a buyback, that's almost like the last throw of the dice. How can we prop up the share price because our funds are not going very, very well? Well, let's see if we can maybe help the EPS along by doing a buyback, which to me is always like a desperate move. If you can't get your EPS up through the normal means, which is going through earnings, how else are you going to do it? Buying your own shares. So yeah, look, we certainly would not be buying this technically or fundamentally. I think when you look at the company, their strategy does not suit the current market at the moment. That's looking at the tech stocks and very, very heavily into tech stocks. So my theory at the moment is unless the market turns for the tech stocks, and if they're going to keep the strategy the same, that's going down further because there's a lot of outflows from MFG, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. So every time they try something different with a buyback or some other announcement, it has a positive reaction, but then it resumes the downward trend. So like I said, it needs two things to happen to FMG before we get interested. Either they've got to change strategy because, of course, if you put your head in the sand, and if your strategy is not working, you've got issues. And especially when the market's changed completely, right? From going from super hot tech stocks to really cold tech stocks and looking at value. And that's not what FMG is about. So that's one problem for FMG. So they need to do something about that. Or potentially the market needs to reverse course again. So in other words, the tech stocks will find favor again. And they could do, like I said, I think they will eventually. I just don't know when. So that's why I'm compiling a list at the moment. But in the meantime, I'm looking at a story. I'm looking at value plays. So, the strategy for me would be, while something's not working and our strategy is not working like your tech stocks, you've got to look at alternatives. You look at the dividend stocks. You look at some of the value plays that we're looking at with growth. You look at the war stocks and so on. Because if you're stuck in the same strategy, you could be stuck in that for 2 years for all we know. So maybe it's not the way to go. Anyway, that's all for the tech stories from the actual announcement this morning. I'm going to have a quick look at NASDAQ again, just to see after last night's performance what we're looking at today, because that was pretty strong. So let's just refresh our memory. As you can see, nice green candle, which is nice. It's holding the last line of defense here, but it's still on the downtrend. You can see it. Hopefully that will bounce, but I think the market's still telling me that we're still looking down. So one day does not, again, constitute a recovery. So we're watching it very, very closely. So what do we from here, guys? I think, middle of the week, again, just patience, monitoring things, adding things to your watch lists. There is no rush. I know I've put in a couple of trades on this week, which I think are very, very good, but I'm really not rushing into anything at all. So apart from that, I'll stop it right here and I'll speak to you again tomorrow. So thanks, guys. Enjoy your day and happy trading and investing. Cheers.